let's do it. Good to go.
Let's.
I was going to say,
in Rome.
Your t-shirt reminds me of my nan's old flooring.
Okay.
It's just got that kind of colour to it.
Yeah, it's just a throwaway t-shirt I probably have for about 15 years.
Not throwaway then, is
my
it?
wardrobe. I should throw it away.
You should, considering it's Hollister.
What's wrong with that?
How old are you?
32.
You can't be wearing Hollister at 32.
Yeah, but when I bought it, it was age appropriate. That defense doesn't work for a lot of things.
Kept you waiting.
Welcome to episode 19 of Casual Mode, your weekly check-in with Karl.
Bonjour.
Ciao. And
Ciao.
me, Dan. Before we dive in, please make sure to check out our website, which is casualmode.co.uk. It's basically a link tree. You get all the latest updates and extras from it, and you can join our Discord. It's the best way to chat with us, share your thoughts, and get involved with whatever community that we've got, which basically is Karl and I. Not a bad thing. It's fine, isn't it? That's all we need. While you're here, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube, please. It really helps us out and keeps us up to date with all of our future episodes, or rather keeps you up to date with them. It'd be pointless if we were kept up to date with them.
Silly.
We can barely keep up to date anyway. It's fine.
Right.
If you're watching this and you like football as well, like we're going to be talking about that, did you see Chris Wood's hat-trick yesterday?
Yep.
What do you think?
Unstoppable.
Good player, isn't he? He's got like
33 though, and so there's not really a Chelsea player. You can't really give a 33-year-old a 10-year contract.
Well, you never know. At the moment, we're getting desperate towards the end of the window. So we're recording this on the 2nd. When's the window shut? Tomorrow?
No, I think it's
Sure it's
Sunday,
tomorrow.
isn't it? It's Monday. Yeah, it's
tomorrow. So I was right. So it shuts tomorrow on the 3rd. That's where we're recording. And I think it shuts a little bit earlier than normal. I think it's like 4 or 5 o'clock.
Sunday trading hours.
Yeah, last orders even. So we still haven't bought anyone. We haven't strengthened. We needed a midfielder and a striker. You guys haven't bought anyone. You don't really need anyone.
No.
Yeah, you're fine. Just need to keep players, I think. That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, talking about football. Talk about that in a bit. Karl's in Italy, by the way, so he's going to be a little bit more calmer than normal. Yeah, well, won't go that far. We've already criticised him for wearing a Hollister t-shirt, which is his little cup.
Espresso.
Little cup.
Espresso.
Little cup. Girlfriend's got little hands. Don't know if we can leave that part in. Let's keep going.
That's fine. Carry on.
That's fine. Okay.
Listen.
Karl's made up with himself because he's been writing the notes to this episode, and he's been like, "We've got a theme for once." I'm like, "All right, okay." Do you want to talk about the theme?
No,
so
that's
it's
my job.
basically you're saying it's time. You're saying we should discuss. It's time for us to do away with the previous generation once and for all.
It's probably 4 years too late, to be honest.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so this came off the back of Kingdom Come Deliverance. I was watching the Digital Foundry video where they were going through the differences.
Looks like a good game, by the way.
It does. I don't think it looks like your kind of game.
Oh.
Nor mine, to be honest. It doesn't. It seems less on the actiony side and a little bit more on the
Rooted in realism.
Exactly. Like, I'm not being funny, but whilst when I played Freelancer back in the day on PC, I don't know if you played Freelancer. It was like a space piracy.
I remember it. Remember the box art.
It was cool. Good game. Yeah, in that game, you could be almost like a trader, and you'd buy stuff and you travel to a different star system and sell it and make profit, and that would be great. And it seems like you do that here, like sacks of food you've got to take from place to place to get paid. I just want to slice people in the head.
Well, that basically you can go and do that in that game, but then I think it's not necessarily like the morality system doesn't allow you to do it, but it's very like Skyrim where you just hated then, and unless you hide the body, you're not going to get away with it. So real life, basically.
Yeah, just put them in a bath of formaldehyde. Be fine.
Okay, yeah. All right, Panic at the Disco. So you've shared the performance of it on each of the consoles. So I'm presuming you're basically pointing out that the potato that is the Xbox Series S and the X, weirdly. So the X is playing at a decent resolution. Do you want to talk us through it? Because like you've been looking at this, and obviously it means something to you. No
Sure.
upscaling.
So the Series S 30 FPS. That's the big takeaway there. It's great that it runs at 1080p, but 30 frames a second. Is that sufficient in today's modern?
Is it locked at 30?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So flat 30 frames per second, full HD, great. But it's fine. At the end of the day, it's a very cheap console. You know, it's an entry level console. I think that's fine. Series X, it plays at 1440p native. Again, 30 frames a second on fidelity mode. When you go into performance mode, it's playing at 1080p. Upscales it. I still think that's quite quite low. But yeah, so PS5 Pro plays it at it's sub 1440p. That upscales it to 4K at 60 frames a second, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I suppose the kind of like key takeaway is one, the Pro is probably worth it for games like this. But the Xbox Series X has still packs a punch, doesn't it? In terms of like, and so does the PS5 by that point as well, which is absolutely fine. But I suppose I've always had the kind of issue with the Xbox Series S, and also when people are bringing games out on the PS4 still, because I don't know, some part of me thinks that must limit the construction and creativity that goes into actually creating that game, because you are limited by that previous generation anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming a game like Come Deliverance 2 isn't going to be on PS4, but yeah, I wouldn't want to play it on S. It doesn't feel like the right type of game to go and play on the Series S.
No.
But it does look great, by the way. Like I said, that game 100% is on the agenda for this year. I think even just to try it, but then again, for 40 quid, is it worth trying it if it's not going to be a game that I play? I don't know.
Also, it doesn't stop us normally.
It doesn't. Not anymore.
More for Strikers Charged, or whatever it was called.
Yeah, UMP did that. That was your
Played it once, got beaten by children.
I did actually have that as well. I forgot about that.
Did you?
I think I might still have it.
You ever played it?
I think I completed it in 2 days, and then I was like,
Wow. Did you ever play online?
no.
Good. Don't ruin it for yourself. It's a great
Don't
game.
ruin it. Okay, yeah, it's fine. It's a good game. It's fine.
You get beat by somebody who's got like 2011 in the game tag, and you're like, oh, half one. There we go.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Awful.
1355.
There we go. One down, and it wasn't me for once. So you started the trend. Just for everyone that doesn't know, Karl is recording how many times we swear, or he's going to be using ChatGPT to go back through the episode at some point, because, like I said, it just annoys him. Doesn't like the swears. I think the biggest limitation for the next generation is probably, or hopefully, the learnings that people are taking away from things like Series X and the PS5 Pro is that if you're going to bring out something that is premium and a better version of the other consoles that you've got, just play certain games on it. And I used to chastise Nintendo for that with like the new 3DS as an example, where you couldn't play the new 3DS games on the old 3DS. But actually, I think that's better now, because I think you get your early adopters who go, you know what, I want maximum power, I want to be able to play certain games on this, and people that curate games for that as well. Surely then you're going to get that generational leap, which I don't feel that we've had with this generation. So,
but the new 3DS XL had different hardware, didn't it? Because it had the extra little nubbin for like a right analog stick.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing Ace Combat on that on the flight, and then I tried it doesn't work. Not a lot of games support it. It seems the second analog stick, the nubbin. But it does on Ace Combat. You can look around where you are. It's very
when keyboards used to have a nubbin in the middle,
like the ThinkPad ones, IBM ThinkPads. Yeah, they
the little nubs.
still do them. The Lenovo ones have still got it. I just don't think it's very useful. But I guess people who are used to it would die on that hill. But so if you look at those specs again, Maybe editor Karl in the future will add that in so that people watching can look at the specs Rob and listen to us butcher them. Like the max any of those consoles are getting is 60 FPS, but TVs today, I mean, both our TVs do what 120, 144 hertz. So, but if you look at the latest iteration of graphics cards from Nvidia and how they're using multi-frame generation, you'd like to think that the next generation of consoles are going to also have that baked in. And then we're going to start looking at games which have got MFG. Sounds like a bit of a gang thing. And getting those frames up. Because if you sat far away from your TV, you're not going to care about a little bit of blurriness on an AI generated frame, are you? It's probably going to be imperceivable as opposed to a screen that you're right in front of. Quite interesting that because that could be a really good use case for frame generation.
Yeah,
just like eking out a little bit extra.
It's interesting that I think games need to catch up to the technology, whereas it always felt like previously, certainly like some consoles and definitely PCs were way ahead of what you get as a monitor, for an example. And it was almost like you get the GPU first, and then you'd be waiting for a suitable monitor to come out, or waiting for the price point of that monitor to come down to an acceptable level. Whereas it's like the polar opposite now, where you feel like you're getting monitors and panels and TVs that are far better than what's actually available. Okie doke. So now we're going to talk a little bit about handhelds, because I can see that you're edited in the other part. So I picked up a new handheld, and I think you're going to chastise me for it.
I'm not ready.
So I had the Ambernic. What's this one?
Day 5 XX Plus.
Yes. Really cool. Anyone that doesn't have one, but whenever I turn it on, it's developed a little blue line. Karl tried to fix it, couldn't, so it's going back. I've even got my tracking slip.
Oh, they're actually taking it back?
They're actually taking it back. It really annoyed me. I was arguing with the AliExpress customer service agent for about an hour and got nowhere. So it's like, okay, it has to go back. So it's going back so I can get a refund on that. And what I was doing is looking for something cheap and cheerful. One that I want our 5-year-old to be able to play. That was a really important thing. So
not ours, him and his wife.
Yes, thank you. Why would that be a problem anyway? Exactly. Shut up.
Because two men together can't have a child. In our configuration.
I hadn't thought about that. It's fine.
It keeps me up at night, though.
It does. What does?
Doesn't really.
The blue pill. So this is the Miyoo. It's version 4. Miyoo Mini version 4.
Right.
And
I love the screen to body ratio on that.
I know, it's insane. So it's great for little hands. It's great for little hands, and also the panel's nice. It's like nice little screen. It's not particularly. It's not doing anything special, but I think for like 30 odd quid, it's like one thing that did
the screen
me
looks
laugh.
really good.
The screen's nice. One thing that made me laugh is if you go into the settings and you can go to the themes, there's a prawn hub theme.
Oh god.
That they're the icons for like games and stuff. Like,
are you gonna leave that on? That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
So like, what RetroArch favorites settings is just anime ladies.
Have you got under favorites?
I don't know if it's got a different icon for the. Oh yeah, no, it just comes up with the actual games that I favorited, which is like Pokemon.
You should rename those ROMs to your favorite.
I need to turn this off before Jesse plays it later. How do I do that?
Daddy?
That's a conversation I don't want to have yet. Back on default. There we go. So like, dead simple. I mean, the UI is not the best, but you just go into games and then you've got the icons of all the things that are loaded onto the
It's got RetroArch, right?
Yes.
Oh, I see you laughing. There we go.
RetroArch's on it. So whatever you want to add in, you can just add in. But again, it's just really, really simple. I wanted it to be a Pokemon machine, is basically the short answer as to why I wasn't really bothered about having analog sticks. I'm quite happy to play.
Pokemon games have you been playing on it?
I've been playing Crystal.
Okay, I've got that in physical.
Yeah, good game. Very, very good game.
Also, when you play Crystal, does that kind of fit in with the Prawn Hub theme?
Depends how you play it. But yeah.
Next up on stage.
But like, it came with a nice little case.
That's class.
Which is
Yeah,
like,
that's
look, a
class.
little thing on the side. It came with all the appropriate cables for it. Came with that, so you can plug your
The SD card.
into the PC. Came with USB-C to USB for charging. It's even got like the inside of it is that kind of something.
The felt.
Yeah.
Can I just do that USB SD card reader?
Yes.
I just wouldn't use that if I was you. I wouldn't plug that into your PC.
Well, I've already got one, so it was kind of I just left it in the case. So yeah, okay, I'll remember that.
Just dodge.
Yeah, it's not great. But look, in terms of like ticking the box for just because I think I've been playing this one and gone, well, it doesn't. I prefer this. By the way, 100% prefer this.
Why?
But for what do you mean? Why it's bigger?
Okay. No, you didn't say why you preferred it. You just said you preferred it.
All right, okay. Prefer it, and I think the build quality is better. Although this does feel sturdy. It's got like a nice, not like a matte finish. It's like a matte light kind of finish to it, which is quite cool. And then the colour's pretty neat as well, which I liked. And then got all the usual kind of fiction fittings, and it's easier to charge and that kind of stuff. But I think this is a bit more of an adult console. But I think that was my point, is that I don't want it to be an adult console. I want something that will play those retro games really well. And my retro generation isn't the PS1, Dreamcast, GameCube era. Like, if I want to do that, I'll use Steam Deck or I'll play something on there. But even then, I go back to those games and never play them anyway. So what I want it for is those GBA Game Boy games. And that felt like a perfect throw it in the bag. If I'm away with work, it's just there. I don't have to worry about big bulky console to go and play something that came out 20 odd years ago. So that was
it's probably got like a 5-hour battery life, and
the battery's great.
Play it for 5 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
You just play it for half an hour here or there.
Yes, it's easy to operate. It's easy for Jesse to operate, like how we save, like we were explaining that, and it's kind of like opening up those Pokemon games to him as well, which he's never played before.
Does the fast forward thing work? Yeah,
got all the cheats built into it as well within the UI, which is quite cool. So again, you press that middle one, similar to what you would on the Ambernic, and then it just brings up the I don't know, whatever the emulator menu is, and then you can just load whatever you want in, which is pretty cool. So,
and how much was it again?
It was on AliExpress. It came within 4 days.
4 days?
4 days. It was £37.
That must be like in Europe already. There's no way that's coming from China.
I looked for the quick delivery, but it was about 37 quid, and it came with all of the. I got the V4 one. I didn't get the Plus one, which to be fair,
What's the difference?
It's 3.5 inch screen instead of a 2.8 screen. But everything.
What's the price difference?
It's cheaper to get the Plus. The Plus is £27.78.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, but like the finish quality on it. Again, it felt premium-ish, so I was quite happy with that for 40 odd quid to play those games. Great.
Sorry, it hasn't got a blue line down it.
Hasn't got a blue line down it, but it might do. Like, again, it's a
disposable tech.
Yeah, and there's nothing to say that I didn't cause that line. Like, one of the kids could have done something, I don't know. But I think the Ambernic's absolutely fine. I think it's just that line would really annoy me. And I couldn't play games like it. So. Yeah. But have you been thinking of another one?
No, I saw that. I linked you the video this morning of the new one, the Miyoo Flip, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And it looks great. I think the one thing that annoys me about the Ambernic is that it doesn't have joysticks, because I'd like to play 64.
Well, you are playing those retro games, and you are playing that gen, aren't you? You've been playing like the Two Towers as an example.
Yeah. So I've been playing the GameCube version of that. I don't think at that price point I'm gonna get one of those little poxy, Chinese handhelds that's going to support it. I just don't think they're going to be capable enough. You have to pay like 150 or something for like a Retroid Pro 4 or something like that.
I saw one last night that was, I think it was an Ambernic, and it's got like the way I could see the difference. It's got like a LED strip on the analog sticks on it.
Nice. And
that was about, I think it was 127, and it played pretty much everything.
Is it like the 406XX or something?
Something like that, yeah. And it played pretty much everything. And the reviews of it were just stellar. So I watched like 2 or 3 videos of it.
Your YouTube subscriptions are going to be similar to mine soon.
It's getting worse. And then cars. So I've been eyeing up an ID Buzz The
Oh,
camper
nice.
van.
Yeah.
But there was one on Auto Trader. I'll share it with you. I'm not going to go off on a tangent, but the it comes with the Thule. I don't even know how to say it, but the basically the inbuilt sits on top of the car, and it's a full camping thing. I'll send you in a second. It's awesome. So I was like looking at cars and looking at that, looking at handhelds. I'm just like, I am turning it to call it. And then there was like a YouTuber, the one who got Rashford's car.
Yeah, Matt Armstrong.
Yes, and because Ad was talking about it in work, and I started watching him, and I was like, I really am turning to Karl. I just need a bunny now, and then that's it. Okay, we're moving on because
can't be used.
You've got Italians in the background that you need to get back to, so I'm going to move us forward on. So we're talking about Xbox now, and what do you make of all of it? Because we've been exchanging texts while you've been away, and you're highlighting the fact that you called it the X-Box-odus, which is pretty cool. I did like that. Nintendo Switch 2 is rumored to have Forza Horizon 5. PlayStation is getting Forza Horizon 5. Master Chief Collection's probably the worst kept secret. Yeah, it's a rumor, but it's the worst kept secret. That's going to happen at some point. Yeah. Pretty much all of Microsoft's main IP is coming over to. It feels like everything. You probably play it on the Ambernic. In fact, I know you definitely can. But it's going to come to absolutely everything. And is that it now? Is that? I think it's just the new normal, isn't it? You've got to expect that Xbox
it's like the big
games.
sell-off, isn't it? It's like how the UK's got no manufacturing industries anymore. We sold them all off, outsourced it all to China. Yeah. And now what have we got?
Is that Microsoft as a? Is that Microsoft as an entity just going, okay, we've lost, we just need to diversify and make as much money as we can and go back to being a business because it's been silly fighting in our lane. Yeah,
possibly. Okay. It's sad though, isn't it? Because I think that's going to be, if you look now, let's draw comparisons to the next talking point in graphics cards. So there you've got two big players, but AMD have basically given up on the high end stuff. So Nvidia can take the Michael. So I don't swear. They can take the Michael and cut away at performance to just eke extra from their customers because they can. And Sony now could just do the same. But look, I mean, Sony already is putting their games onto PC? Is it just going to be the case in the future that it's just PC gaming and they've just bought up all the publishers and they're just producing for PC?
I think so. But does it go the other way? Do you start to see all the PlayStation games then come over? Because if it's a similar business model, and
what's the point then? What's the point of consoles then?
Well, that's the thing that I've been saying for ages. That I think we're going to get away from consoles a lot quicker than people think, and also physical media a lot quicker than people think.
Fine, that's fine though, because that means you've got an extra £500, £600, £700 every cycle to invest in a better PC, which you can use for more than just playing games. So that's actually quite nice.
You are forward thinking though. Like the other,
I'm always forward thinking.
With a forehead like that, you have to be.
Five-wood thinking.
That's very funny. There's an episode title. And I think a lot of people are still really concerned with losing physical media because then there's just a challenge to say, well, what's to stop a server?
Yeah.
And all the things that
totally on board with that.
Yeah. So it's like, but it hasn't happened as much. I think there's some obscure games that have kind of gone. And there's still copies of them that sit somewhere, but still, people have gone like the official source of those games is gone. You've got like the 3DS stores and stuff like that have closed, where you can't buy games anymore for it. What's to say that you're going to have this, I don't know, PS6 Pro with a shed load of games that's built in, and you're not going to be able to access those games in the future because the PS9's now out. It's just, I think the genuine concern is, there's a little bit of a challenge to it. So moving to that digital only model is a worry, and I think that is what happens when you are moving down the route of all of these massive console manufacturers just becoming publishers.
I don't like as well, if you look at Codemasters with F1 25, they just cut away at the older versions from the store, so you can't buy them anymore, and actually then it creates like a weird grey market where, like on CD keys and other sites like that, like if you want to buy the old games for Steam, those keys now are worth hundreds of pounds because there's a limited supply left. The only way you can buy like F1 21 and further back on Steam is to buy a key off the grey market.
Which is like,
don't support it. Stupid.
They're effectively saying like our old work's redundant and we don't want to keep it there because we think this work's superior. That's what they're doing.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's worse. I think it's literally just like, oh, I know, even if you want our old stuff, do one, buy the latest product because we want our sales figures to look good again. But on the plus side, on the F1 front, I think Codemasters license runs out for that game this year. This could be the last iteration of it, which is good because that game is stale.
Yeah, I mean, not an expert in those games. Yeah, there's loads of worries with what Microsoft are doing at the moment, and I personally don't care because I think Microsoft need to make money, and at the moment they're probably looking at a hell of a hole in their P&L after buying Bethesda and Activision and all the franchises that come with it. Conversely, they'd had a good year last year, but I think by moving those games now to a Game Pass only model, the writing's on the wall a little bit of going, well, we've sunk billions into this, and for us to now make money from it, the only way to do that in the current environment isn't just to invest in Game Pass, but to go, if you want to be on the Xbox ecosystem or PC and you want Game Pass, you want to pay for that subscription, you can get it day one. But if you're on PS5 or if you're on Switch 2, which feels like it's going to be a thing for most of the games as well, if Horizon 5 can play on it, you can pay 30-40 quid for it, and that's absolutely fine. I think that's okay. And I think if PlayStation were to do the same thing, move to a similar model, they won't, by the way, because they will not release their games day one on their subscription service. They'll do smaller games like Stray, and they'll do certain things where it's not a 40-50 AAA rated experience, but Nintendo will not do it, because why would they? Why would they move to a model where they're already making more money in this generation, i.e. Switch, than what they did in the previous ones all combined? Like, they're not going to move away from a successful model. The only people that can do this, because they have made the acquisitions that they have, is Microsoft. And I think they have to. It works, though.
I don't think it works because let's say Game Pass goes to, what is it now? I pay it every month. I don't know what it is. That's like 15 quid a month.
Well, no, it's more for you. Yeah, about that for you.
Don't even play it.
PC. Yeah, no.
Okay, I don't even play it. I pay for it.
I've downloaded Indiana Jones and played an hour of it, and admittedly, I do want to go back to it. Yeah.
Okay, so your choice is either you buy the let's say they bring out another console, but you can't trust them to just bring out exclusives on it. It's going to be like a Game Pass machine. Okay, let's say that's the status quo going forward. So let's say you pay £500 for that, and you've got your subscription of £15 to £20 a month, or you get your PlayStation, you get your exclusives there, and you pick and choose the games that you want from Xbox. Maybe 6 months, maybe a year down the line. It's going to be cheaper though than getting an Xbox. For me, there's no point in getting an Xbox if that's what they end up doing going forward.
But that's the key problem. Know that to be the case, but I reckon, based on sales figures for PS5 and PS5 Pro, that majority of households that have a console in the home, it's going to be a PS5. And I think on that basis, Microsoft need to pave the way for Game Pass to come to a PlayStation console, and need to pave the way for that Game Pass to come to a Nintendo console. And the only way to do that is to kind of burn this generation slower, and almost you're paying a premium now to be an Xbox fan by having that console in your room, because you can go and play those games on a PlayStation and have all the PlayStation experiences exclusive to that as well, aside from PC players, which get everything. So I think the slow kind of burn of this generation, similar to that original point and why you probably said there's a theme, for Microsoft, it's painful. Yeah. Really painful. If you're an Xbox fan, you can't be an Xbox fan anymore. Like, we're not moving to an environment where you can be a fan of a green and black logo, and that's your thing that you can kind of hang your hat on. It's not that, mate. What you are is a Game Pass fan, or what you will be is a Game Pass fan, and that's fine as well. Like, if that's how you want to.
The only way I can see a way out of this idea is if they generate enough IP that they spread across all the consoles via Game Pass in this generation. So over the next 3 years left, they do that. They get people hooked on their IP.
They haven't had a game of the year thing, Karl, in like 5-6 years, mate. From all of the software houses they've already got, and there's some fucking target. Good, like there's some very good
35, 60
games devs in those things. Yeah, game devs in those groups as well. So
I just pull get like 2 or 3 core IPs that people all love during the remainder of this generation across all the platforms, and then when it comes to the next one, say, right, they're exclusive now. so that people have to buy the Xbox to get in there. So it like jumpstarts the next
we're going to go down a rabbit hole here. So my only kind of my closing point on that is my theory with Netflix and why people. You get people like Ben Stiller. We're going to talk about Severance in a minute. Ben Stiller with. We're not skipping that because that's good. We'll whiz through it. Ben Stiller doing Severance. He's paid a lot money and he's allowed to be quite creative. Whereas Netflix at the moment are in a bit of a hole where a lot of their content had to follow a formula, and the talent, like Ben Stiller as a director, like even some actors, aren't drawn to that because the transparency of the stats that are provided. Netflix were quite open with that to begin with. Where they're going like, the watch rates for these things is one thing. So you've got 1 million people watching it, amazing. Mm-hmm. But then the actual minutes that have been watched are inferior. And then people are going, it's like YouTube. Yeah, you look at YouTube, like it's true. It's disheartening. So you look at it and go, well, what's the fucking point? Like, why would I? Sorry. What's the point in bringing that thing out? Now, I reckon it's going to be the same for developers that are looking at their game within that, if they're within that Xbox family, that are looking at their game getting released on Game Pass. When they've just seen stats from previous games going, all right, Indiana Jones came out. But because of the throwaway nature of that experience, because it is on Game Pass, not because it's not a great game and it's not, a AAA quality game, but because it's on something that you can go back to, or it's on something that isn't burning a hole on a shelf that you can then go and trade in. Like, it's throwaway. I reckon the appeal to go and create something like that is far less than going to one of the studios that PlayStation have got, a Naughty Dog as an example, and all of the guys going, we don't care how many minutes you play in our game. What we care about is that massive thermometer on the wall that goes, we've got a target to break even, and that's 5 million quid to make this game. And above that, we've got our stretch goal of what we want to achieve is 100 million sales. Like, regardless of whether or not you think devs are just focused on getting awards for their games, or whether or not they're actually focused on, making money for that game for the business, they're focused on both. They're definitely focused on both. And if that isn't a thing that you can give to a group of developers, I don't think they're going to be as motivated as some people that are having that experience elsewhere. And they're seeing the stats of Indiana Jones has only played for 45 minutes on average, and we need to get that up.
See the ray tracing.
Yeah, how do we get that up? How do we improve that? Like, that shouldn't be a conversation that software developers are involved in. Like, it's not a nice conversation to be in. What they want to see is numbers on the board, and they want to see a Metacritic score and awards come through the door, which is what PlayStation have had for 6-7 years. Nintendo have had for 6-7 years. Don't you? That as well. You pay for big tables. Moving on. So, unless there's anything you want to add, that's insightful on that part, because I think this is going to be your section anyway.
To be fair, you started talking about Ben Stiller and directing, and I just got lost in my own mind thinking about Ben Stiller's cameo and extras where he's directing.
You haven't watched Severance yet, so...
I have seen Severance. I've seen season 1, not season 2.
Season 2 started with a bang. I won't talk about it as much in a minute, but it's worth watching. Really, really good. And his directing's getting better and better. And production's getting better and better, I should say.
Sure.
All right, lad. So, graphics card update. The first reviews of the Nvidia 50 series are coming out, and you've been watching a lot more of this than I have, so take it away, Karl.
Well, you just you see like all the big hardware reviews at the minute. They're all coming out with a 50 series review. So the 5090s was like last week, 5080 was this week, and everyone's very lukewarm on the 5080. So I liked an article in the notes from Digital Trends, and they're doing comparisons of the 5080 versus the 4090, and they talk in there about how predominantly your 80 series card is targeted to beat the 90 series card of the previous generation, and this 80 series card doesn't do it. So it just feels, the more I read about this next generation of graphics cards, the more I feel like they're kind of trying to pull the wool over people's eyes. And
you said that about this generation as well a little bit. So is that just a trend now where it feels a bit snake oily? Or?
Yeah, possibly. I think look at their stock price. They can do what they want.
Not anymore.
It's still incredible. They can have the biggest loss ever and still be massive.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, still dominate that area. Come back.
But yeah. So I think
we are not traders, by the way. Don't go and buy Nvidia stock. We don't know what we're talking about. Just to be clear.
Buy the dip.
Have you bought the dip, Carl? No.
No,
Have you bought the dip,
diamond
Carl?
hands. Well, yeah, it just feels as someone who's gonna rebuild the PC this year. It's all very interesting, like the pardon me, and seeing people's reviews of who play multiplayer games like FPS shooters. The multi-frame gen probably has a use case. That if you're playing single player games, you probably don't care that much. Or going back before talking about consoles, if the next generation of consoles leans heavily on that, I think there's definitely a valid use case there. But I don't think it's a silver bullet, and I think that actually the underlying lack of performance is more of an issue is more of a negative than multi-frame generation is a positive. So I just find it interesting. I'm very curious to see what the price is going to be on the 9070 XT AMD's card, because if that's competitively priced, I think that the raw power side of things, because they've got more to prove, AMD in the graphics card space, I think there's potentially more value to be had in there. And also there's been rumors this week of a new Intel graphics card, so they focused on the mid level. If they've got anything like mid to high, because I've got to power that big ultra widescreen beautiful bad boy, so I need to have a pretty potent card for them if I'm going to try and stretch it out for another 7 years like my 1080 is done. So, and
to be fair, I'll lean on your expertise, because I know what you're like. You'll throw yourself in a hole, which you already kind of are, researching these things, and I'll be just like, yeah, I'll do the same then.
And fundamentally, I'm cheap, so I don't want to spend money on things I don't have to.
He's cheap.
Maury.
Ooh. Yeah. So, which way are you leaning? Still towards the...
I need to see the price. I need to see the price of the 9070, and then I'll know for sure which way to go. I was thinking the 5080 would have been fine, but then...
That seems to have been the one that's been focused on the most in negative reviews.
But then the 5090 sold out in minutes. So
but that's the GPU equivalent of like the Xbox Series S, though, isn't it? The 5080, like the lower one.
I would say the 5070 is like the S.
Sorry, yeah, 70. Okay, yeah.
The 70 was the big tagline of you can get 4090 performance.
49 power. Yeah. Okay.
But not quite.
It's interesting. It's not an area I was very knowledgeable on until we started becoming mates, and I think like the focus on it recently, obviously with Nvidia's boom and like the money that's now making, and also like the feeling that they've kind of like closed out the market, and they were dominating to the point where it's almost impossible for anyone else to catch them. Even Jensen Huang, when he's like speaking on stage and he's like quite literally giving people his vision of the future, he's not really even having to explain the product as much as he used to. He's like just talking about AI and talking about cool stuff. It was like, okay, these guys are just Apple level now. There's no catching them.
Yeah.
For them to have a bit of a humbling, I think, in terms of how the performance of this card is. But I don't know. Tech community as well. I need to see it the other side. Sometimes the type of people that like to bend iPhones, day 1 and 2, and look for the negative in things, and maybe also then negative clickbaity stuff for tech gets better traction than positive stuff, like we know. So
possibly. Linus Tech Tip posted. He does a podcast called The One Show, and in there he talked about the fact that they can see from their user engagement that people are not asked about 4408. They're not bothered about the 5080, and so like he saw the engagement rate drop massively for that video that he did, where effectively he was just saying, look at these graphs. These are the performance graphs from our testing. It's not very good.
Okay.
Because you can't spin numbers all that much, can you? Because you could just press mute and look at the graph and then let the people decide for themselves.
Yeah, I suppose if it's presented in that kind of way, it's very, very, in an objective way, it's very, very difficult to disagree with it. It's just, if somebody said to me, it's only 20% better, to visualize that is quite tricky, especially over a YouTube video that's compressed. Yeah. And I'm like, it's one of them things that, and I suppose that's the difference with things like consoles. So let's switch to like the opportunity to go and hold it and see it, which we're not going to get, by the way. we got denied in the ballot to go to London and see it. How dare they? In a random ballot. But like it's hard to do that with a. But then your mate Graham, like you've seen his performance on his PC, so I guess you're as close to being able to visualize that as you can be. Yeah. Okay.
It's that plus a little bit in it for the 50. Yeah, but that's for the 5090. Which is £2,000, and probably we're not going to buy.
And he's not cheap as well, so I think his version of what he's bought is damn sight better than what we could
Well,
afford.
no, but I think his was 1,600, the 1490.
It's so expensive though.
It is, but like he said, it's going to last for 7 years, so he's amortized that cost over 7 years, so no big deal. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Graham Bowley.
He sold a few hotels in his time. 2 and
Yeah, wow. Okay. Dubious errors. What we're playing and watching, so I'll very, very quickly talk about AstroBot. I think that is an absolute phenomenal game. I've said it on the last couple of podcasts, so we finished it. Jess and I did the final level, and it is just a joy. It's so much fun, and it is just a celebration of PlayStation and everything that highlights the negative stuff that we were talking about Xbox before, and the fact that game exists is almost like a hallmark, I think, to where PlayStation should go in the future. And thinking about that game and reflecting on it over the last couple of days, like the decision to axe a lot of the games as a service stuff, that they've been working on for 5-6 years, and like the issues that they've had with Concord, like it just says, yeah, to me, double down on what you're good at, and I feel like that's what they're going to start doing a little bit more. It would be hilarious for an AstroBot, or for that AstroBot game to come to an Xbox, and almost like obnoxious for that to come to PlayStation, come to PC as well, because again, it's such a celebration of PlayStation. So yeah, definitely worth it. Now we finished it, I think, Jesse, I'm trying to get him hooked on Pokemon so you can borrow it for a week, but I think you'll blast through it. I think you'll be like, this is me. And it's like game.
Just go drive to my house, put it in the disk drive, I can just play it from here.
I've pretty much got all this. I've got all your storage things downstairs as well, which give me stick over. So nearly finished Dark. Less passionate about the third season. Not as good.
Okay.
And probably
finished it?
No, we've got one episode left, which we're watching
there we
tonight.
go.
So
that's it. At the end of it, you'll go, oh.
It's just that the episodes are just it's not, a lot of them aren't further in storyline, just making it more convoluted to then tie it up at the end. It's like it's kind of, it's a magic trick, which I don't mind, but
it's the fugazi.
Yeah, second to last episode are kind of like showing a few things which I'm like, okay, making sense. So hoping the last episode redeems itself, episode 8.
Yeah.
And finally said about Severance, and I've started playing Pokemon Crystal on the Miyoo and Red Dead 2 on the 5 Pro. Nice. Whilst you've not been here to play FIFA, which is great. And I feel the best I've ever felt. I played footy yesterday. I played the best I've played in months, all because we're not playing FIFA anymore, and it's not darkening my mind. So, what you've been playing, mate?
I got shouted out. The return of number 7.
Yeah.
The impact that I make on people. You know what I mean? Leader of men.
It's just the baseline, isn't it? Like, it needs to be brought lower than the standards that the rest of us set. So,
is that a height joke?
You're the great leveler.
Great. I'm like a Colchester. What have I been playing? So my Ambernic, I've been playing Pokemon Emerald. I've done a few bosses, a few gyms now. I'm great fun with that, to be fair, because it's like it's in the middle of like, it feels like it's in the middle of the Pokemon generations. So I have no frame of reference for any of the Pokemon I've got. But just having fun with it. So that's going well. I haven't really been playing anything else on the Ambernic other than that. But I've started to build out some of the PlayStation 1 ROMs I've got on my Steam Deck. So
is Emerald the only thing? Is the Ambernic the only thing you took away with you this time? Would you take your Steam Deck?
I took my Steam Deck and the 3DS.
Okay.
So I've been playing on the 3DS. I've been playing Pokemon X.
Okay.
Just because I asked ChatGPT which used the most 3D on the 3DS Pokemon games. And like the latest one, apparently they dropped 3D support because the console was struggling, so I'll put it, and then they were like, scrap it. But X has got 3D battles and like 3D like interactions with people, which is pretty cool. It looks cool. I'm having fun playing it. I just played it on the plane on the way over, so I've not really done anything of any merit. But, so that's fine. But yeah, so on the Steam Deck, I've been building up my PlayStation 1 games. So I've been playing Hogs of War. Have you ever played Hogs of War?
Oh my god, what a game!
Yeah, and Spyro. I've been playing a bit of Spyro, which is one of the first games I ever had.
Did you play Silicon Valley?
No.
That was a really cool platformer. It's like a Spyro-y kind of game. I'll try and find that. I'm sure it's called Silicon Valley.
What else did I play? I was playing Hercules as well.
Oh, what game?
Yeah.
Good.
So yeah, having fun with those. And whilst I've been over in Rome, I've been using. I posted this in the group chat the other day. I've been using Chiaki. Like the latest version of Chiaki seems now like it's got full feature parity with the Portal, except for obviously the adaptive triggers. So I've changed nothing on the Xbox, on the PlayStation, and now from Italy, I'm just remoting in over PSN, and ignoring what Dan said the other day. Like, there's no lag at all. I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima, and it's like so playable. I'm pretty sure there's a reasonable level of compression there because it's a bit smooth, but it's just great fun. And because I haven't got a million adapters for charging it. It's good that I get much better battery life because it's just streaming it as well.
The novelty of it's like the perfect marriage between like now actually being able to play those games functionally, and then the novelty aspect of knowing from a tech perspective, whilst you're in Italy, to know how all of that is interconnected and actually working is just
insane,
baffling.
Yeah.
Baffling.
I genuinely don't understand. As somebody who works in IT, I genuinely I'm touching the stick and I'm thinking, okay, well that's going from my device through the Italian ISP to PlayStation to my house somewhere in the Greater Liverpool region. That's
probably through China.
Fingers crossed.
Be honest, you know what they're like.
Based off my devices, it'll be routed that way. So communicating with the PlayStation, back up through that same thing, back to Italy.
Mad.
And I'm genuinely just like, how is it so quick?
And you go like,
yeah,
crazy.
So I'm really impressed with that.
It's not far away, is it? Like, I know what you're saying there in terms of like lag and latency. Like, even with the Portal, it's just even if it's just a fraction, but at some point, based on everything like happened with like DeepSeek this week, someone at some point is going to land streaming in a way that it is just completely perfect. Like, and
it'll get to the point where the only limitation is like if everything's fiber optic, so that everything's all our data is transferred via light, then the only limitation is going to be the speed of light. Okay, next week, Brian Cox, special guest.
I thought you were writing that down, like Brian Cox.
No, I'm writing down the timestamp on S4.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? We'll whiz over the footy because you're top of the league anyway, so you must be happy with it. Performances from you guys just been insane.
I don't think we have. I genuinely think that some of our performances have been fine, just enough to get by. And I think that's all we need to do.
Every highlight of I know it's highlights, but I think in terms of full match, probably you feel that way. But in terms of the actual highlight reel, it feels at some points inevitable. You know, when you're on a break, and it's like you just see the way the players are. It's like you look where they are. I remember like Chelsea teams where we've had that feeling, and I've watched and gone, we're going to score, or we're going to get a really solid chance at this point. Depends on who's at the end of it. But it just seems like Salah's on the end of everything at the moment, and the way that he's coming in a lot more, cutting in, being able to be on the end of things. He's just in the box at the right place. It's all the experience that you'd expect from, you know, somebody on the wrong side of 30, but still with that proficiency. So
yeah, it's phenomenal. His second goal yesterday was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was.
Penalties, you just don't think he's going to miss. And he gets a lot of them, which is fantastic. It helps with the stats, doesn't it, Dan? So
I wasn't having a pop at that, by the way. Like, I shared a thing before saying that, well, Salah's not a forward. He's a winger.
He's not. Yeah.
Like, he's a winger.
He's a right winger, no less.
Uh-oh.
Daniel Wood character.
I'm not a right winger. But then you've got the comparison between him, Drogba, Rooney, and who was the fourth one?
I don't know.
Fourth player. And anyway, basically it said that if you... it was putting the number of hat-tricks or number of seasons that a player has scored 20 or more goals. And it was like 5 for each of these top players. But if you remove penalties, it's only Drogba and Rooney that have hit the heights of the 5. So, like, it's, a bit of a challenge. But anyway, Chelsea aren't doing well. We're playing West Ham tomorrow. I think we'll get battered because it's Potter. And it's one of those matches that's just like written in the stars. They've got the bounce back. They'll probably have a little bit of tiny temper. They've got a bit of wind in their sails. So let's just see.
Do you think you'll get top 4, top 5 this year?
No, and well, but we haven't strengthened, mate. So like,
Forest,
if we haven't,
Forest aren't going to drop it. I think Forest are nailed on.
I think Forest are Forest are temperamental at times, and I think they can lose matches. But even so, I think the aggregate of points they're going to get by the end of the season in the type of league that we're now in, like it's a Liverpool-dominated season, and you're going to get Arsenal, Forest, City, Newcastle, us, Bournemouth, Villa, all of us drop points at different points.
I don't understand that though, because if you beat West Ham, which you can definitely beat West Ham, if you beat West Ham, you're above Newcastle, and Newcastle have got a loss in them.
That's what I mean. The season's mad, but like I still don't. If there's a probability that we won't get in, I'm not going to say it's certain. I'm not going to say that I think we can, because I don't think the squad at the moment is good enough to do that. And if we're selling off or wanting to sell off players like Felix and Kunku, we're wanting to get rid of players like the uncertainty in the squad when you've got those really, really good quality players, knowing that they're surplus to requirement. I wouldn't want to do a job not in a modern day game. You know, it's not like it was 10, 15 years ago where you had a really set squad and it was smaller and it was easier. Like it's not like that anymore. So I don't think we've got the legs in it. Palmer's had maybe 2 months just really off games because he's just getting marked out and no one else is picking that slack up. So
that's it. If he gets marked out, let's say he's got a man or two on him, right? And then that's where you need the rest of the team to go, okay, well, we've got an advantage now. They should be overperforming because of it. But if they're not,
we're just leaky. Like we needed a midfield because both Enzo and Caicedo are knackered, and we needed a forward because, like I said, Jackson just misses too many chances. So getting someone else to come in, give Jackson a rest for a couple of games, because I still think he's phenomenal, and it's just his age. I just think he's just needs to refine himself. So getting a challenger, putting someone on the bench that can actually give him a bit of a run for his money would have been fine.
Just Chris Wood. How much can you get Chris Wood for? 15 million, 20 million?
No.
Worth it, innit?
He's worth it for 40, 45 in January.
For a 33-year-old?
Yeah, English player though, innit? That's the problem.
No, he's not. So. He's from New Zealand.
Okay.
I googled that. I was like, why is he never been given a shot? Oh, he's from New Zealand.
Well, there you go. He's probably gets a shot all the time for New Zealand. I thought.
Why hasn't Aaron Ramsey ever played for England?
Where's Gareth Bale? But yeah, I think I look at the other squads. Look at Newcastle. Look at City, obviously, and we'll be fighting for fifth.
If we get that, if you get it, I think that's massive. If you get fifth,
I'll be happy with fifth this season. Considering the last couple of seasons.
If we get that extra spot, that's a winner.
The money we've spent and the squad that we've got, we need to refine it. We need to build on it. I just don't think we can do that in January, and I think we've hit a wall in terms of performances that it's tricky for a young group to be able to get out of. And I think like the pressure will be on Maresca by the end of the year, similar to what it was Poch. Whereas Poch had a really good run from now up until May. Like Maresca has kind of started the opposite way. So yeah, we'll see. We're still in a better position than we were by Poch at this point. So I'm hoping that Maresca's got enough in the tank and enough in his brain to be able to get us out of it. So we'll see. Deals, sir. Deals. Your one is a cracker. I've talked about my Miyoo, so I'm not going to talk about that. But you can get it on AliExpress for like 30 quid. So it's worth it if you want a Pokemon machine. What is yours?
Mine is a Nintendo Switch Lite refurb for £107, which I wouldn't buy for myself. But I genuinely think if you don't have a Switch Lite, or you want something for kids, which is semi-disposable, £107. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's via eBay. It's Music Magpie.
It's good condition, it says, so I'm presuming it's second hand, but even said like you can buy, you'll probably get warranty with Music with Magpie. Yeah, so
it's brilliant.
Yeah, no brainer, absolute no brainer. Throw it in a case, perfect console for a child. Because
you've got that catalogue of Switch games, just ready to go.
Yeah, why not use them? And the way that Nintendo ecosystem, albeit looks all ugly as hell, the way that you can use your games with and share it with the family, like why wouldn't you do that? So
yeah,
awesome.
Stupendous.
All right, stupendous. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I just want to say that our timekeeping is terrible.
It is, but That's what we're doing. It casual.
Our casual approach to timekeeping.
I'm going to go and return an Ambernic to Royal Mail so we can get
What a
sent
shame.
back all the way to China and they can assess whether or not I'm lying or not. So they can refund me properly, which is stupid. And Chinese New Year, we're going to go and do that in time. So,
Cool.
yeah,
Cool. I'll tell you something after this.
Okay.
Or I'll give a suggestion after this.
I'll send you the ID Buzz link as well because it's 47k, which is dirt cheap for one of them as well. And it basically should be a 70 grand car, but depreciation. Killer.
Didn't I send you the old transporter for like 4.5k?
I was watching that film the other day. But
Also
yes, you did send me that transporter.
For me, given that we've never done those types of trips, I think that is like the perfect gateway drug to that lifestyle. Not lifestyle, like lights on in a car park.
If you like what we do, please like and subscribe this video. If you've watched all the way through it as well, join the Discord. Like, you're silly not to. Like, it's very easy to find. You go to casualmode.co.uk, click the Discord link in there, and it'll bring you through to us. And just say hi. We'll see you land, and we'll say hi immediately because that's what we're like. So
Friendly. If you want to join our Rocket League team, we are accepting applications as well because that's back. That is back.
we need to get back into that. I'm up for that.
I've got a big monitor now, haven't I? My ultra wide, and I'll see both sides of the pitch.
Oh yeah, that make it more effective and gloaty because that was the thing that we wanted to get away from with Rocket League. And now,
up in the clouds.
but maybe that's it. Maybe I need to feel like second best. Maybe that's the point. And maybe I just had to ruin my day because I'm better at FIFA.
I'm losing the ball all the time.
Okay, let's not fall out. Let's not fall out. Okay, thank you very much. Stay casual. Bye bye.
Bye bye.